Attorney Ruben Reyes, immigration attorney here in Phoenix, Arizona. And this is my little YouTube video for all the deferred action applicants and people who are thinking about applying for deferred action. Just some tips from what we've learned since the program has been initiated back in August 15th of this year. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you can gain some insight from this. First of all, if you're going to be applying for deferred action, you should know your history. Some of the questions on the application request that you know your addresses from the date you initially entered. And it's important. I know for a lot of people this is cumbersome. Their parents don't remember. They don't really have access to that information. There aren't leases or anything like that. Or even in some occasions, the property is no longer there. It's been converted from an apartment to a parking lot or to a mall. And so, here's where you need to do your best efforts, because even if you can't be 100% certain, you can do what's called your best good faith effort to provide the information for them. So know your history, maybe do some searches on Google Maps. I mean, these are things that we didn't have 10, 15 years ago, where you can get online, kind of look in the neighborhood more or less and see, is this more or less where I was at? So you can maybe not put down 2641, Elm Street, if you don't remember, but you could say the 2600 block of Elm Street. Maybe you don't remember the apartment, but the apartment number, but you know that it was an apartment. Being able to provide these kind of details, even if you don't really remember, is important. So know your history. Just talk to your parents. Have a very frank conversation with them if you were too young to remember when you came into the United States. And when you start doing that, start thinking about the kinds of documents that you can gather. And be organized. In other words, don't just kind of put them all in a pile and overwhelm yourself by putting everything in a box and then trying to go through it. It helps to kind of put things into the context in which you need them. So you need documents that identify who you are, your birth certificate, a passport. You need documents identifying that you were here before the age of 16, and so maybe your school registration from elementary school, your vaccination records. These are kinds of things that can help prove those things. You need to prove that you have been present in the country since June 15th of 2007 to June 15th to 2012, and up to the present. And so what that means is you should probably organize those kinds of documents based on the year. So get all your 2007 documents, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2012, keep going through it, and stack them up in a way so that it's chronological, so that it's easy to digest. The person who's going to be reviewing your packet does not know you. They don't know your history, and they've got a lot of these to go through. So making it easy, making it clear, making it simple is imperative if you want to make sure that the process is not going to be complicated by requests for more evidence or just unnecessary delays because they really don't understand what it is you've submitted. So be thorough, be organized, and be clear. Why are you submitting the document? Don't just throw everything in there. If you've worked without authorization, if you have entered and exited the country, even for just a couple of days, in between June 15th, 2007 and June 15th, 2012, then you should probably go see an attorney. And generally, this entire video is more meant as a general informational guide. This is not to be taken into the context as legal advice. Everybody's case is different, but this is an educational video hoping that you gain some information from it, some insight from it. But if you do have questions, I always recommend that you go see a licensed attorney and one who practices in the area of immigration. So that way you get the long-term and the short-term issues hashed out. You might qualify for deferred action right now, but because you have to divulge some information, it might make life difficult for you in the future. So these are things that you definitely want to talk to an attorney about if you have those kinds of questions. And it's always just a good idea, if you're going to apply for deferred action, to pay for the consult and just get a general idea of what your particular situation is. Now that disclaimer's out of the way, I'll continue. When you look at your documents and you're going through the packet, the forms that you have to fill out, the I-821, the I-765, you want to be as honest as possible, answer completely honestly in terms of what it is that you're putting on that page. This is the beginning of your immigration record for the rest of your life. This will stay with you. A lot of young people are so anxious to kind of put it down, get this over with and send it off so they can get their work authorization because they've waited so long for this. They make the mistake of just well, if I'm not too sure, I'm just going to, fudge it. Don't. Don't, because you're going to have to attest to this, that you answer truthfully about what you put into that document, about what you put into your packet, about what you said about yourself. You are pretty much saying under penalty of perjury that what you're putting forth is the truth. So be honest. Take your time. Be patient. You've waited a long time for this. A month, 6 weeks won't make the difference. I don't see that this program is going to go away anytime soon. And it's better to walk slowly but safely than to sprint to a finish that's never going to be there, because you didn't do things correctly, because they want more information, because you didn't answer honestly. So be honest in your application. Be honest in your packet. If you feel you can't be honest, again, go see an immigration attorney who might be able to tell you what the issues are if you already have a bad feeling about something. If you have criminal history, any criminal history, you should go see an immigration attorney. There are some offenses which might seem minor, such as just a plain old DUI, which disqualify you for deferred action, whereas maybe possession of a very small amount of marijuana might not disqualify you for deferred action. And I use may or may not because these are definitely questions that you'd want to have answered by an immigration attorney. So if you do have criminal history, a couple of misdemeanors, you were young, you did some silly things, and you're really sorry for it, or you've grown up, and you realize that that's just not the way you want to go with the rest of your life, but you still have those on your record, it always makes sense to go see somebody who can tell you what the problem is with it in the current present sense, as well as what kinds of issues you might encounter in the future. Because you have these kinds of issues on your record. So if you do have criminal history, go see an immigration attorney in whatever city you are from. And I do recommend that you go see an attorney who is a member of AILA, the American Immigration Lawyers Association. They are generally well-versed in terms of current issues that are cutting on the latest determinations by the service in regards to deferred action. Do not be overconfident. And I've seen this in several individuals who've come into my office and asked me for advice. They deserve this. They've earned this. This is theirs. It's about time. And unfortunately, that's not the right attitude. This is a discretionary determination made by an agent in a faraway place regarding whether or not you merit deferred action, which gives you the ability to get a work authorization permit. And it really does open up a lot of opportunities for you as an individual here in this country. But no, the fact is you do not deserve it. Until you get it, you don't have it. And I say that not because you're not a good person or you're not a good student or because you haven't worked hard to make this happen. You've been an activist and you've really done your part to bring this thing about. And I give credit to those who have taken that kind of a role in making this kind of policy possible. But understand, you're dealing with the bureaucracy of the United States government, and you're dealing with agents who are very impersonal in regards to looking over your account, your packet, and making that kind of a decision. So do not be overconfident. Do not believe that because you feel you deserve this, you submit a subpar packet. You put in the most bare bones of documents together and you send it off, just waiting for that work authorization to come back. This is discretionary. And people who submit their packets on the same day can often have very different results in terms of waiting times, in terms of whether or not they're requesting more evidence from you. So be thorough. And again, I go back to my first point. Know your history and gather your documents. Be thorough. Be honest. Times may vary. And of course, more is better. But not always. More is better in terms of what kind of evidence do you have. Is all you have, that you worked with maybe a social security number that doesn't belong to you? If you have those kinds of issues, you've been out of school for a while, then you definitely should see an immigration attorney in regards to your deferred action application. It's always better to be safe than sorry. And I say this generally for people who are over the age of 18, who've been out, who have children, who've lived life and have had to kind of maneuver, in between the very gray area that is living without documents and trying to live and support a family. I understand the difficulty people had to deal with. And you do not want to create more difficulty for yourself in the future by simply putting everything in a packet and sending it off. You could be doing yourself a disservice in the long term. So go see an immigration attorney wherever you are if you have those kinds of issues. That is a very strong recommendation. Be patient. Be patient. Do not try and rush through the process. Do not try and rush through your evidence. Do not try and just kind of put everything together in a haphazard way and send this off. It makes no sense to go through all this time, all this expense. $465 is not a little bit of money. Just to have them either deny it or continually ask you for more evidence because they can't find what you've already submitted in the packet. It makes no sense. So be patient. Be positive. If you feel that you have some issues, you're not sure, do not defer in terms of going to see an immigration attorney because you think you don't have a shot. There are some people who do not qualify because they were not here before the age of 16, because they're clearly over the age of 31 by the cutoff date of June 15th of this year. But maybe you left for a couple days in between that June 15th, 2007 and June 15th, 2012 date, and you think, well, I don't qualify for that. There's an exception to the continual presence that an attorney can help you with. There are ways that you can navigate through some of the more common issues that a lot of these students have in terms of, well, I don't have a lot of documents. There really isn't anything under my name. These are things that you should definitely speak to an immigration attorney about so that you can kind of get the best information as it pertains to you. This is a pretty good generalized overview of what kind of goes on in the deferred action process on, pretty much any kind of packet. But what you want in terms of getting information for yourself is personal, as it applies to you, kinds of advice. So I definitely recommend that. So you really haven't done much, because you really haven't had papers and, everything is under someone else's name. But you've applied, and lo and behold, you've got your work authorization. What should you do? My advice to you, be productive. Go to college. Volunteer. Be the most positive person in society that you can be. Because I really do believe that something is coming down the pipeline where this can not just be 2 years of deferred action, but could lead to something like, permanent residence. And how are they going to make the distinction between those who deserve a shot at permanent residency from those who don't? I would argue that good moral character, good citizenship, being helpful, being positive, not being a drain on society, not having a criminal record, and making the most of the opportunity is a great way to show that you would be somebody who is deserving of the opportunity to apply for permanent residency. So go to college, apply for scholarships, volunteer in your community, help others, be a mentor, be active, and show the world that you really are a part of this country, not by what you say, but by what you do. And so if you do get deferred action, congratulations, but that's not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a next chapter. It's the beginning of what it is you've done with the opportunity that's been handed to you. And finally, good luck. Good luck. I wish all of you, this Christmas season, the best that life has to offer. But with that comes great responsibility. You need to make sure that you manage your opportunities wisely, that you choose your friends wisely. It could be that a United States citizen who has drugs in his pocket might complicate your life if you're stuck in the same car and stopped by a police officer. In other words, be aware of who you are, who you're around, where you want to be, and what kind of an example you want to set, both for yourself and for those around you. Many of you have parents who can't get documents, and here you are with this opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, to kind of make something of yourself in this country. Do not waste it, and do not throw that away. Show your parents that their sacrifice, that their commitment to you living a better life in this country meant something. And so, be the best possible you can be. Again, congratulations. I wish all of you the best of luck. My name is Ruben Reyes. I'm an immigration attorney here in Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you very much for your time.